Take a walk with destiny. Walk on the trail of your life. Live your soul's purpose. Hosted by Jessica Joins, each show is dedicated to revealing your true calling and living a life of fulfillment. Each guest brings inspirational stories that help clear the way for your higher calling. You can listen to her show once a month on the uimediaapp.com, WDJY 99.1 FM, WTTA 101.2 FM, Talk10FM.com, Facebook Live on United Intentions, Spreaker, and many other platforms. Want to join the conversation? Call in now at 678-495-4345. So let's unwind, rest your mind, and let your spirit free to find your soul purpose.
Hello and welcome to Soul Purpose with Jessica Joins. I am your host, Jessica Joins. I want to say a special hello to our friends at WDJY 99.1 FM. Thank you for tuning in today. And also hello to our friends from WTTA 101.2 FM in Kentucky and Ohio. I hope you all are staying safe, happy, healthy during this incredible crisis moment that we're all having. We have an incredible guest for you today that I'm going to be bringing on in a little bit, and she is perfect to talk to us through this time to help us stay sane, hopefully, sorta, healthy and happy. That's Dr. D, and she's going to be on in a little bit. First, I just wanted to say hello. Thanks for everyone that's tuning in. I know it has not been an easy time whatsoever. The more people I talk to, the more challenged we're feeling on all different kinds of levels, right? This is really a moment that is calling us to look at a lot of stuff that's coming up. This is on the collective level. This is on the individual level. We are having a moment, if you will. Many of us are still in a lot of fear, detoxing a lot of fear. And many of us are just feeling frustrated, confused, not knowing what to do. And then some of us just seem to be like flying and thriving, really welcoming the break. So wherever you are on the spectrum, however you're doing, whatever is coming up for you, know that it's okay. It's perfect just as it is. I feel that we're all being really kind of gifted, I'll call it, but gifted with the moment of being challenged or triggered in certain ways. We're having different things come up that are showing us certain things about ourselves. To me, and how I'm really perceiving this time for all of us, is it is a heightened opportunity for spiritual growth, because spiritual growth always comes through times of challenges, always. And so before we bring on our guest, I want to share with you our 6 soul purpose truths for this April 20th, 2020 during the coronavirus pandemic. But tonight, these truths are really about how you can maximize your spiritual growth, the kind of challenges and opportunities that are being put in front of you at this time. So here we go. So our first soul purpose truth, again, for this incredible, unique, challenging time during this pandemic, is to remember that without acceptance, growth is stalled. So you have to be in acceptance, or at least attempt to be in acceptance of whatever is coming up in front of you, whatever is being put in front of you. Because if you are not in acceptance of that, if you are resisting it, you are creating conflict for yourself, and you are not allowing the lesson to even enter in, because you're in so much resistance. So to really step in and tap into the full and complete potential that this moment offers for you, and that is one of immense and intense spiritual growth, is to practice being in acceptance for whatever it is. You don't have to like it, but being in acceptance allows you to be open for the information that the lesson is trying to present, to be able to actually enter in. Soul purpose truth number 2, sometimes no action is the best action. Look, if there's one thing this moment is calling the majority of us to do, it is to sit still and be still. But that makes us uncomfortable because we are so used to going, 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 staying busy, 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 struggle, 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 strive, strive, strive. And this moment is the exact opposite. So if you find yourself trying to just stay busy for the sake of being busy, you are again blocking yourself from receiving all of the goodness that this moment has to offer. And a lot of that goodness are realizations, revelations about yourself, shifts in perspective, shifts in your own consciousness, new awakening moments for you to be open to receiving. But if you are in a constant state of action, you are not open and you're not receiving. Okay. Soul purpose truth number 3 is that this moment is about you, the capital YOU, the soul you, the spiritual you, the higher self you. You are the change that can save the world. The change that can save the world is a personal one. And so, as much as you open and allow the lessons that are coming in and being open and allowing to receiving them, to being present for them, and then ultimately actively working on them, do you do your part? Soul purpose truth number 4, what's being reflected wants to be healed, even transmuted. So we are all having stuff being reflected to us in this moment. Now, the truth is we're always having stuff being reflected to us in every single moment. Our higher self is like a puppet master that's always orchestrating the experience for us to have that most supports our spiritual growth on a moment to moment basis. And this moment is no different. It's just even bigger and deeper. Okay. So take notice of what's being reflected to you. Now, the things that are being reflected to you that come through the energy of fear or any lower level energy, that's the good stuff. That's where the healing work and the healing opportunity lies. So put your attention there. And soul purpose truth number 5, you are allowed to feel. Being spiritual is not always just trying to be positive, not by a long shot. Okay. When stuff is coming up, you have to feel it to release it. So this is not a moment to not feel, to escape our feelings. Now, I'm not saying sit around and have negative thoughts all day long, but when stuff is coming up, heavy stuff is coming up, you are meant to sit with it. The only way through your feelings is to actually go through it. Finally, soul purpose truth number 6, no one's doing this perfectly, and certainly not you, not me. But by choosing to be in it, you are doing it perfectly for you. All you need to do right now is choose to be present for whatever is coming up and take the gift aspect of this, the opportunity to focus on ourselves. And look, focusing on ourselves sometimes comes through a lot of pain and struggle. It sometimes comes through a lot of suffering. But when you are present for it, you are allowing what is essential to your healing, essential to your spiritual growth to fully transpire and come forward. So those are our soul purpose truths for this week. And now I would love to bring on our guest in just a second here. But first, let me tell you a little bit about her. Dr. Danielle Drobin, or as I say, Dr. D, is a health and wellness expert. She is a chiropractor. She grew up in Long Island, and now she's based in Atlanta for all you Atlanta folks. She received her BA in psychology from the University of Buffalo. She graduated cum laude from Life University as a doctor of chiropractic, and she has her own practice in Atlanta. And what she really does, and what I love about her, is she focuses on all types of holistic health and well-being, and especially is focused on moms and kids. And I could not think of anyone better to bring on the show at this time. So welcome to the show, Dr. D.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're so excited to have you here and to just get some good tips from you, which I know you have. But before we do that, I want to start, as we always do, a little bit with your story. So what you do is so relevant for what we're going through right now. But on top of that, you really speak to the purpose of this show, which is helping people uncover and step into living their true soul purpose and their true calling in life. And part of that is always hearing from stories from people like you that seem to kind of just do it right off the bat. You know, you didn't go down a path of 20 years being miserable doing what you're doing and then reinvent your life like I did. You really started off from the bat of knowing you wanted to do. So can you talk a little bit to our viewers and our listeners how did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? And how did that all start and transpire?
Oh man. Well, first and foremost, I'm still growing up, and I'm still, the reason why they call it practice is because I'm continually practicing to become, my best me and live in my best truth. But when I was, so my dad's a chiropractor, and I grew up in a very holistic, crunchy, if you will, household where we didn't take medications and we always chose healthy alternatives. We tried to stay extremely preventative and proactive in our true healthcare. And when I was about 8 years old, my mom was laying on the bed and she said she had a headache. And so I came over and I felt the bones in her neck and the top bone that gives you a headache. And I said, let me see, let me adjust you. And I adjusted my mom when I was 8 years old. And at that moment, her headache went away. And I was like, I'm going to be a chiropractor. And then fast forward 3 years later, and my mom was pregnant with my last sister, and I was 11 years old at the time. And I was actually her doula. And I supported her in the home birth of my sister, Laura. And when the baby came out and I cut the umbilical cord, I was 11 years old. And I was like, oh my God,
Wow.
there is no other natural, innate, beautiful experience that I could see that the body is so intelligent than this process right here. And it was like at that moment that I knew I had to be involved with pregnancy, pediatrics, and chiropractic. And I just knew it all had to come together. And
It's so amazing because it's a bit unique when you have something happen for you as a kid and it's like validated to me, and everything's a spectrum, right? But that to me, that's like, wow, you had like a very clear kind of soul mission you signed up for, and like the universe really wanted to make sure you knew what it was
yes.
from early on. Is that like the energy of how you've always felt it?
Absolutely. It has always been so strong within me that I needed to be a part of people's true health, their true wellness, the preventative, proactive side of things. And yeah, it was just, I think always in my life, that's how things have happened. And my dad is very much on your page, as I've told you before, and we've always created what we wanted and been very spiritually awakened and connected, which sometimes can get dulled, right? And sometimes that
Mhm.
light can dim. However, when I was younger, it was bright, bright, bright. And yeah, it definitely was just messages coming to me constantly.
Wow. And then did you did the consideration come ever up at one point? Like you went the chiropractic route, which is
Mhm.
totally for those that can you do this for those that don't know? Can you like educate people on what chiropractic actually is? Because a lot of people just think it's about like adjusting your back, right?
Yeah, totally. A lot of people think that it's just about if you were in a car accident or you have neck pain or back pain. However, what chiropractic was truly founded on is proper nervous system function. So your brain sits inside of your skull and your spinal cord is in your spine. And then you have all of your nerves that come out and they innervate all of your organs, cells, tissue, muscle structure. And so, if those bones are out of alignment, they pinch those nerves and your brain can't properly communicate. So it's actually about true well being and allowing your body to function at 100% of its optimal potential.
And did you go through a period where you were considering other things? Like, I mean, did you go through a period where you were at all looking at other either like holistic modalities like Ayurveda or things on that level or acupuncture? And the same token, did you ever think, hey, I'm going to go the Western route, but like
Yeah.
bring a
Yes.
holistic element to it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I was in undergraduate, I received a psychology degree. So I knew also communication is huge for me. But then for a minute, I was thinking psychiatry. However, then that didn't really connect with my true like soul's purpose, and it just didn't feel good. So for a minute, I did absolutely, but my higher power had a different path.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely sounds like it did. And then what's involved in getting a degree in chiropractic? How many years is it and what's that look like?
Yep, 7.5 years. It's very similar to a regular MD, allopathic doctor. We open cadavers. We just don't do pharmaceuticals because we come from the place of preventing to get on pharmaceuticals instead of, just you want to get to the cause of the problem, not just cover up your symptoms. And
Yeah.
so that's really what chiropractic is about. So 7.5 years. And then I did 4 extra years in the pregnancy and pediatrics.
Got it. Well, we're going to get ready to take a break here. I just want to remind everyone that we are live taking your questions as well. So call us if you have a question and we'll answer it live at 678-495-4345. And we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
At Heiser Orthodontics, we understand that your smile is a big deal for both kids and adults. We have the latest technology and state-of-the-art equipment. But honestly, what makes us unique is our patient experience. And we are not the only people saying this.
Heiser Orthodontics is amazing.
Superb.
Trustworthy. Compassionate.
A friendly place where they know what they're doing, and that's what I like about it.
We are a family-owned private practice where kids are valued, parents have a voice, and the entire Heiser team puts the patient first. Discover the Heiser Orthodontics difference. Call 470-330-9083 for a free consultation today.
Welcome back. This is Soul Purpose with Jessica Joins. I just want to remind everyone that you can now watch and listen to all exclusive and uncensored content 24/7. You really want the uncensored part, right? At uimedia.at. And right now, while we're all at home, it's just such an incredible time to really dig through some amazing content. And I also want to just remind everyone, we do want to take your questions live. So definitely call us and we'll put you on air like right now. 678-495-4345. And then finally, I want to remind everyone to connect with us online. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spreaker, and many other podcasting platforms. And so we're back with Dr. D. I think one of the things that you just even educated me on, and look, there's so much sometimes like negative stereotypes, right, around what you do. And it's such an intensive, long educational experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, just today, one of my patients brought her partner in, and he was telling me that his dad, who's a neurosurgeon for 50 years, would kill him if he knew that he was stepping foot in a chiropractor's office. And I was like, well, 50 years later, there's a lot of scientific research. And actually what we do is science. It's, not like a religion or a belief, but there are, peer-reviewed science-based studies. So, what we do works for sure.
Yeah. So was your dad super psyched that you were like following in his footsteps?
Yes. I think he wishes I was in New York, but again, that wasn't my path. And, I stayed in Atlanta.
Yeah. So like at your practice, which is what it's Midtown Family Wellness. Did I get the name right?
Yep.
What kinds of things do you do there, and what types of people do you see?
Sure. So we see everybody. So, our practice is probably 60 to 70% pregnant women. And then I'd say another 30% pediatrics, and 10% are probably their spouses. And so it's really whole family wellness. Of course, I have people that come in with aches and pains and issues, but so many times they come in within like a back pain, and then they have a digestive problem, or they come in with a neck pain and they get migraines and sinus issues. And when we start clearing those, pains out, their other symptoms start to get better because those nerves innervate those organs. But when you come to my office, it is loud. Not at this moment. It's a little less loud, but it is just busy and full of life, and kids running all over the place. And I just love it that way. But it's a true well place. If all of our reviews, everybody says it just feels like home. It's so positive, and it's such like a healthy, holistic minded place.
I love it. And so your passion within this, and because I know you a little bit, right? It's really switched into and I know you had the experience early on of basically being a doula, but it switched into well-being for moms and kids. So can you talk about, and again, one thing I always say on the show is that your passion is the biggest indicator. It is the biggest like signpost, if you will, of your true calling in life. So how did that passion evolve?
When I first started practicing and I didn't have children, it was just my wife and I. And so I was taking care of a lot of the LGBT community because it was just, us, we had a bunch of gay guy friends, and, that's who we were taking care of. And then as I started to have children, and my wife, my beautiful wife with her beautiful womb birthed me 4 beautiful children. And I just have, I just love everything involved with pregnancy, birth, and children. And I just see so many people go down the wrong path and have they wanted a certain type of delivery and they didn't have it for some reason that could have been avoided, or their children are suffering with chronic ear infections that can be resolved without antibiotics. And sometimes medicine and surgery are needed. I would like to preface that. But so many times it's not. And so it is my calling and my duty to raise awareness that people just need to really research and educate themselves on other options, if you will.
Yeah.
Because like I said, so many times you're just going to cover up your symptom and have these reoccurring issues rather than actually get to the cause of the problem.
Well, because we're on the topic and it's so important. And I know it's really what you've honed into a calling and, what you're working on in your current work. Like, can you help educate our audience? Like, just what are some of the things like we take for granted? Like, what are some of the biggest problems that happen, either during pregnancy process or, initially after you have the baby, like that you'd like folks to know about right now?
Yeah. So just for pregnancy in general, probably one of the biggest obstacles that I face in my office is having a woman not have the birth outcome that she wanted. For really, the reason comes down to that she was with a provider that didn't have the same ideas as her, and so many times our country now has a very unhealthy cesarean section rate, and sometimes those are needed. I am in agreement with that. However, we're at a very unhealthy, dangerous cesarean section rate. And some of the hospitals around us actually have almost a 50% C-section rate, surgical birth rate. So many times, we come from this fear-based place. And when you're pregnant and your provider tells you that maybe your baby is too big for your body, or, it has to be by a certain date and a certain time, and you only have this amount of time, when the body is so beautiful and natural and knows exactly what to do, and it knew exactly how to make that baby, and it knows how to birth that baby. And, but so many times this fear model comes in, which is so congruent with kind of like what's going on in the world right now. We're in such a fear-based place that at that time you make a fear-based decision, and maybe they just didn't know that there were other providers that can support them in a true like faith way in allowing your body to faith. So really, I mean, there's so many myths that I can demystify, but it's really about having the right provider to begin with.
Right.
And then sorry.
No, keep going. Yeah.
And then even postpartumly, having a baby. I mean, when you look at Facebook, it's just everybody's, beautiful and makeup done and hair did. And you know what? That's just like not the way it is. And nobody talks about it. And breastfeeding is not easy. And it is really hard and can be very emotionally difficult, not just physically, but emotionally. And the hormones are high. And so having support around that too, knowing, I deal with a lot of babies with latching issues, and getting that baby to latch is the most important part because it's a supply and demand issue. And so we got to increase the demand to increase the supply. And so sometimes there just isn't a lot of support in that area. And then, babies end up maybe not having that breastfeeding relationship with their mom. And so it just continues this cycle that I know can be prevented if in the beginning, their pregnancy and birth maybe went in a different trajectory.
And it feels to me like when I've heard you talk about it before, and what you're even saying now is that they're really not empowered, right? And so if there's a mom out there that just feels overwhelmed and a lot of fear about certain, like, what's the overall kind of advice that you give to that mom so she can feel empowered?
I would say that you are the employer. You employ your provider. They're not the boss. When I hear they won't let me, I almost want to like jump out of my skin when I hear that term, they won't let me. They won't let you what? Nobody's going to come to your house and put you in handcuffs and take you to the hospital. Nobody's going to do that. I don't know. It's too late to change my provider. Wrongo. It's not too late. It is never too late. This is your body. It is your choice. And if you get one red flag, or I like this one provider, but there's 10 people on the team and you don't know who you're going to have and if they are in agreement with what you want. And so if you get a red flag, I want to say, get the, out of there fast.
Yeah.
And I've started to say that to my patients because when I don't, they end up having, I know what they don't want.
Yeah.
For a non-medical reason. And that makes me very upset because then it can affect the nursing and the postpartum healing and the postpartum depression and everything that comes along with it.
Yeah. Wow. So before we move on to talking about like the current environment and the fear around that, I was just thinking about this. When you see people out there that either just feel like lost, like don't know their calling, back on like the soul purpose kind of part of it, or are like working in a job that they like, let's just say they lukewarm like or don't like at all. Do you just kind of find that crazy? Like you don't know how to relate? Like, or is your mind just like, why is that happening?
Yeah. I really, I've never worked a day in my life. Now, what I do is hard, don't get me wrong, and can be stressful in many different ways, but I really feel I've never worked a day in my life. So when I hear that, when I started my practice, I started with, $0. And it was a leap of faith and it was hard and there were obstacles. But when you live in your true soul's purpose, right? And your real truth, it will always work. It just does. It just always works. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do.
I think there's so much fear based on, I don't know, will I make enough money right away? I don't know. Can I really do that? Will people accept that? Will people believe me? Will people be okay with what I'm doing? And it's like, will I be successful? And it's like, if you really truly live in your soul's purpose and what you're supposed to do and what resonates with you in your soul and in your heart and in your gut, there's no way you can't be successful. And success is defined in different ways, right? It's not just monetarily.
Yeah.
But there's just no way you can't be successful.
Yeah. And I always say too, and I notice this to be true though too, is that the universe doesn't place a true calling in your heart, your path that only is like a path to poverty. Like sometimes it doesn't manifest or look the way you think it's going to look. That's why you got to let go of like the outcome and the attachment to like how it's supposed to look and all of that. But I'm right with you. And that was beautiful advice. And I think that so many's purpose or mission in life is actually to honor the calling and to trust. And that doesn't come easy to everyone. And like, yes, there'll be fear. Yes, there'll be times you have to take leaps. But if you operate from a place of fear-based decision-making and survival consciousness, that is only a path to misery. It's not a path to joy or happiness or living the highest potential in your life. It's just not.
100%. And I think also that people don't realize that, my mom always had this, she always said, stagnant water, it starts to smell. Don't get smelly. And so, you don't want to just stay stagnant. You can't stay stagnant. And you know what happens in growth? You're extremely uncomfortable. And that's the only way that you grow. Anytime somebody asks me to do something that I am like freaked out about, I say yes, no matter what. And I deal with it when it happens because I just know that it will only lead to more growth in my life.
Yeah. Segue to right now. A lot of people are really freaking uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
Look, I do this stuff for like a living and I'm like, woo, financial stuff has even made me uncomfortable. But let's take a step back. And what I would love to just see, just what are some of your general impressions about what's going on right now? What is this coronavirus, Dr. D? Tell us.
Oh, that's a loaded question. I'm going to stay real neutral on that. What is the coronavirus? Well, it's definitely a terrible virus. I would 100% agree with that. I think that there is a lot that's unknown that I'm not sure we can make any like definitive answers towards it. However, there is such a focus on a cure, and we're really not focusing on like how to prevent it. I have no problem. Listen, if somebody's in the hospital and they need a ventilator, and I'm not that type of medical provider to make those calls, I'm sure it is needed. However, we're focusing so much on like, if you get it, what to do. Where is the talk behind, the people that are affected are the elderly and immunocompromised and people with poor immune systems. So where's the talk on how to get your immune system raised, how to get it lifted? Why are some people asymptomatic? Why do some people get a little runny nose and somebody else is on a ventilator? So how do we truly get healthy instead of just trying to deal with it when it comes? And I think there needs to be more of a focus on that.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect time for us to go to a break in here in a second and come back and talk about this. But before we do, I just want to remind everyone that to connect with us online, Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spreaker. Like, we're on all the different podcasting platforms. So definitely do that. And then I want to tell you about something coming up, and that's to discover the Heiser Orthodontics difference, where they genuinely care about you and your child. Visit heisortho.com or call 470-330-9083 for a free consultation. They are our incredible sponsor, and we thank them for everything. We'll be right back. Joins, author, spiritual coach, and inspirational speaker. Understanding your soul purpose is the most important work you will ever do. It's the key to unlocking your true potential and happiness. And that's why I'm so happy to announce that you now have the opportunity to have your most important soul purpose questions answered by me live on air. That's right. I'll tackle your most important questions about how to step into living your life's true calling on my show, Soul Purpose with Jessica Joins. So if there are big questions or challenges you've been wanting answers to help with your soul purpose journey, here's your chance. Write to me at contact@uimedianetwork.org, and you might get a chance to be featured on my show. Welcome back. This is Soul Purpose with Jessica Joins, and we're talking with Dr. D. Before we get back to her, I just want to give another shout out to our friends at WDJY 99.1 FM and our friends at WTTA 101.2 FM in Kentucky and Ohio. Again, if you'd like to ask Dr. D or myself questions live, put us on the spot. Why don't you? Call us right now at 678-495-4345. And we are back with Dr. D, talking about the coronavirus. And I think you pointed out some really good points. Yes, it is a virus because, there's conversations out there. There's all kinds of conversations happening out there, right? We should take it seriously. I'm hearing from you, but I love, and we are, right? But I love how you say that the whole conversation is around the cure, typical, right? And not on, how we can do more for our immunity. So what would be some things that you would say that we could focus on in understanding our own immunity better, kind of preventative care?
Yeah. I mean, I always look at health in general as a trilogy. And so there's three components, in my opinion. So one is your emotional, spiritual, mental. Two would be your physical, and three would be your chemical. And so as far as your emotional, we have a psychosomatic response. So when we're in a stressed fight or flight, stressed out system, it can actually turn into negative physical response. I just was talking with some of my midwife friends over at a birth center, and they've had a very abnormal births this month. I mean, everybody's in this high stress state. I think OBs are making different choices and calls based on how fast to have birth and how to get in and out of the hospital. So emotionally, I always recommend having some sort of a positive emotional state or an emotional outlet, or, in the seclusion. A lot of people can feel isolated. That's what I've been talking to a lot of my patients about, and lonely. And so how to, maybe Zoom time with some people in this disconnected state. I've felt more connected with so many people that I've actually reconnected with. It's pretty amazing. So how do you stay emotionally well? I know I coach with you, and coaching with you helps keep my emotional, mental connection open, like you said, open to receive what's supposed to be for me next. So I think staying emotionally well, whatever that is for somebody, and especially now when you're on lockdown with your kids. If anybody out there has kids, it is cray town in my house. So definitely emotionally, physically, get outside. Get outside. If you want to wear a mask, but get outside, reconnect with Mother Earth. She's telling us that we've all got to, she's healing, and we've got to reconnect with that and get out there, exercise, take a walk. whatever that means for you but to keep your, do some stretching and yoga and just get your body moving. A lot of times people are now at the computers like this all day because they're working from home. So your workstations aren't set up properly. So let's make sure you set them up good, looking straight ahead, not looking down and killing your back. And then, what was the other one? Oh, chemically. So what are we putting into our bodies? Are we putting good, nutritious foods and whole foods, fruits, vegetables, and proteins? Is it all processed? I remember I went to the supermarket and it was all the lemons and oranges. They were all on the shelves. Everything, the vitamin aisle was full, but the pasta, the processed foods, everything was empty. And I couldn't believe it because we don't have a ton of food in my processed food. Of course, I have some. I've got some kids that, I have to make some dinner for, but all of these healthy, good vitamin C, antiviral fighting foods were still on the shelves. And I just couldn't believe it. So, again, like, how do we make sure that our emotional well-being, our chemical well-being, and our physical well-being stay healthy and true?
Yeah. And it feels like, you have to really try each day because in a way, like what's resulting, and I'm hoping it articulates this way, is like the opposite of what we need. So social, and if you live alone, like, hey, raise my hand here.
Right.
Social distancing and like isolation, especially for the recovering addict, is like the opposite of what you need. Right. But then on top of that, like I find so many people in they're just sitting in the obsessive worry and fear, and like fear and all that lowers your immune system. Right.
Totally.
And then the fear there, the misinformation and the fear about, it being on produce and all of that, when nothing's been proven to show it can be transmitted through produce or anything yet. But again, it was just like, ignore all that. And then like went and bought all like the frozen, right?
Well, and I think
kind of fascinating to watch,
Right. Well, and when people want to stockpile, that's what they're stockpiling in. You can freeze your fruits and vegetables, So I was very floored when I went it was like that first day that everybody was trying to get food. And so I was like, let me go take a little, get some stuff. But I was floored to see what the supermarket looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, it's really, it's fascinating to watch, but I don't know. So what do you do to like keep yourself? Have you had fear come up during this?
For myself?
Yeah.
I live by a motto that you can either live in faith or live in fear, but you can't live in both.
Yeah.
And you just can't live in both. And I find that whenever I find myself turning towards fear, I really try to switch back to faith. And so there've been times in my life when that has, for example, our second baby was born in my car. And I remember that when the baby was coming out, and we were pulled over on the side of the road, my wife and I am looking at this head coming out in my car. And I said, oh my God. And I just remember saying, I know everything's going to be okay. Because I just had to switch at that time. And this like calmness came over me and the baby came out and everything was fine. But I don't know. I'm not living in a lot of fear. I'm just, I can't allow myself to do that. I'm just not. I have a ton of family in New York, and I know it's a very high stress state, and maybe because I'm not living in New York, but I'm not in a super fearful place. I'm in a faithful place that this will run its course like every virus does. I'm excited to see if they have an antibody test to see how many people actually were affected, and maybe the mortality rates will go down. The percentage of mortality will go down because probably more people have had it
than we realize. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that would bring some of these numbers into a bit of a better balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit. About, one of your favorite audience. Let's start with moms and let's talk about kids. And I know, look, I've seen it. I've had moms just like we were normal coaching session to the side just to sit and cry.
Yeah.
Right. Moms are really struggling right now.
Yep.
It's a lot, especially, all moms, but in working moms too, that are trying to do this impossible homeschooling. Plus, I don't see a lot of companies letting up. They still are expecting that full 8-hour plus work day.
Which I think,
a lot.
It's a
It's
lot.
disappointing. Companies are really, I got to say, disappointing me right now, from what I'm seeing in my clients.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing from a lot of my,
Yeah.
when I have both parents at work. Yeah, I think that we all have to we're going to be in like fight or flight mode right now as far as work goes. My wife works very minimally. So she's home mostly with our kids. So I do feel very grateful for that. Uh, and for anybody at home that, a schedule has been really helpful for us. So we have 4 kids, our oldest is 7. And so she can like tell time. So it's really great that we have a schedule. And I've also found with some of my working parents, it's like they have no schedule because they're not really going to work. They're not getting up. They're not working out. So maybe just implementing like a schedule in your life. If
Yeah.
you're just feeling so out of balance and everything is mundane, it's like Groundhog's Day every day, over and over again.
Yeah.
And so creating some sort of schedule might
And
get
even
you
like
back in the
scheduling
rhythm.
like dumb stuff, like kids take a break, like the things you wouldn't think to normally
Oh my
schedule,
God.
right?
Snack?
Yeah.
How about mystery snack? Who even made that? My wife made up mystery snack. Today is at 4:00, you get a mystery snack. And we just like go into the cupboard and grab the first thing that we found, but the kids loved it.
Right. Right.
Or, a project that we did recently, one of our friends told us was we went outside, we collected a ton of like leaves and whatever we found from nature and then put it in a bowl of water and froze it. And then what they did was they took some hammers and they just got some tools, whatever, and just started like picking away at it. And it, entertained them for half an hour. But definitely to have a schedule also, because you could sit your kid in front of a TV all day long.
So what this is like what I've struggled with too. That's why I'm wondering if you maybe have a solution for it. Yeah. It's a really hard question to answer when you have a mom that's still doing the work thing. Doing it home is much harder. And then also trying to take on, all or at least part of the homeschooling. And so they're in constant fight or flight. They have no time. What do they do to get out of that? I mean, I've been saying try to breathe, but I wonder if you have anything else, even maybe if it's like diet because there's no real good answers right now. Because time's an issue. What do you say to that?
But time is always what you make it, right?
Yeah.
As I've learned from you. I have found, particularly myself, I choose my time when my kids are sleeping to do the things that I need for myself. So whether that's to work out or that is to watch a stupid show to get my brain off of everything that went on that day. But I always try to take that time, and some of my kids still nap, so I try to take it during the times that they sleep, and that's just my time. That's just the time that I get to do what I need for myself. Breathing, cry, just cry, just let it out. Watch a sappy story and just cry.
Yeah, crying is it really chemically, what is it really? But it really does heal you. It's really good.
No, it's great because or else it's just going to be like pent up. I mean, it's such a crazy time right now. And so I don't know if there's like one right answer, but I definitely find that making it a point, and my wife and I we do this for each other, and I make sure that she takes care of herself. So I've committed to changing my hours so I could stay home on Tuesdays and Thursdays so she could go do what she needs to do for herself, for her mental and emotional well-being.
And then I was going to ask you this too, like anti-inflammatory type of foods, like what makes you fight or flight? Caffeine, like what, do you know what I mean? I don't know enough about nutrition.
Well, on a nutritional, you definitely want to be feeding yourself. Listen, my one vice is coffee. I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning. Oh, don't try to take away my coffee.
I know, same here.
But I think that throughout the day,
addicts in recovery love coffee.
you could switch that up. You can make a green drink. If you want to, you could get some green powders. You can make a green drink. Some of my staples in my house right now for just like really good immune response is going to be like load up on your vitamin C. So whether you take vitamin C tablets, chewables, get your kids those little cuties, have them eat a ton of them. Any sort of like citrus and vitamin C to just load up. Probiotics are huge, right, for their gut health. And so we really want your gut. You have to get a good quality probiotic, should be refrigerated. And that will help your gut health, which always helps your immune response, which is directly related. And then, a really great omega, vitamin D, even though the sun is out here in Atlanta, we don't get enough vitamin D. So definitely the staples in my home are your vitamin D, your probiotics, and your vitamin C. and then some extra like powdered greens just to, because my kids aren't always going to eat a ton of vegetables. So
yeah. And then are there the other thing too that we forget, I think, is like stretching or anything, like even from a chiropractic sense, like not that you can demo right now, but they can talk us through.
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to just stand up, if you stretch your arms all the way up to the sky and get on your tippy toes, hold your tummy in, massage the back of your neck, rotate your neck backwards just to get over that hunching forward position would be really wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's so great. We're going to come back in just a second. We're going to be taking a break. And again, we want to take your questions. So definitely call us. We got 15 minutes left, guys. 678-495-4345. And we will put you on air live and answer your questions. This is Soul Purpose with Jessica Joins, and we'll be right back.
This is Kurt Arsenault of Arsenault Advisory Group. Do you make a six-figure income but live paycheck to paycheck? You're not alone. Many six-figure income households will buy too much home and too much car, creating tremendous financial stress that builds debt when you should be building wealth. If you make six figures and live paycheck to paycheck, visit arsenaultadvisory.com and download our free ebook titled, I Make Six Figures and Live Paycheck to Paycheck. You have nothing to lose and potentially everything to gain. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com today.
Welcome back. This is Soul Purpose with Jessica Joins. We're talking with Dr. D. Just want to remind everyone to remember to visit uimedianetwork.org to keep up to date with our events, programs, and hosting possibilities. You could do what I'm doing. Tune in tomorrow as well at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for a new episode of Building a Better Brain show with host Dr. Charles Krager and his guest, Doctor of Natural Medicine, Jen Lawrence. That should be a good one. So we're back with Dr. D. We're talking about how to keep sane, keep healthy during this time of coronavirus. Let's talk a little bit about the kids. I've been noticing now too, again, via some of my clients, I don't know if kids are doing as well as we think they are.
I think sometimes we forget about the kids and we think they're so resilient and adaptive. However, my kids used to have their own routine that they're completely out of, and they went to school and they had their friends and they had their learning routine. Granted, mine are younger, but I definitely find that I can see some emotional strain and maybe some boundary pushing or emotional outbursts because, they're feeling it too. And I think one of my little ones ran into one of her friends and, the mom said, you can't really touch each other. And it was so heartbreaking to see them stand so close together. And not touch each other, and they just wanted to jump on each other. So we do Zoom sessions and my 4-year-old will sit there and play house and play family with her and her friend. And it is the cutest little thing. It breaks my heart and warms my heart both at the same time.
Yeah. And of course it depends on what age the kids are.
Yes.
And all of that. But I think, how do you, let's talk about kids that are able to handle an explanation. How do you explain what's going on right now? And what can we do more to support kids right now? What are your thoughts? And I know that's kind of a general question, depending on age and all that.
Well, our household and the way that we, being a 2-mommy household and having babies, obviously we have to have different types of conversations about different things. But we are always of the mindset of just speaking what it is. And so speaking the truth and, not lying or making things up. But so, how we approach it with our children is we just tell them that there is a virus going around and something that can get you sick. And so we're just all staying away from each other to wait until the virus goes away. And we all have to do our part in order to keep each other healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And do they ask questions or are they just okay?
Totally.
Yeah.
And we explain how we do certain things to keep ourselves healthy. So if we did come into contact with it, that we would be okay, hopefully, right? Because who knows if we've had it or not. I mean, I think we were in international terminals in February.
Yeah.
In airports. So, I'd be surprised if I haven't come into contact with it.
Right.
But I think that, it's just a waiting game right now. And hopefully we could just support them and support their feelings too. Maybe they just need, I find that if we just give them a little more one-on-one attention, or we had a family movie night yesterday, movie day. So, just whatever we could do to just love on them and give everybody a little grace. Cause you know what? The moms that aren't doing good, I feel like the kids aren't doing as good as we think they're doing.
Yeah. And, well, what was I just going to say? Yeah. One thing that I really have noticed too is that well, it's kind of like a touch and go thing here. And I'll explain what I'm saying and get your feedback. I have some moms with older kids that are like, all my kids want to do is play video games. And it's like, do I keep trying to enforce this, or I just say, what the hell? This is a crazy time. I guess my question is how do you find the right boundaries and rules right now when it is complicated? Do you know
totally.
You know what I mean?
Listen, and this is just my personal mommy opinion. This is not a professional opinion really at all. I mean, we try to have positive, gentle parenting in our house, and we try to always practice certain ways. But like I said, we have a schedule that we try to stick to. And you know what? My daughter wakes up one morning and says, I don't want to go by the schedule. Maybe today's a non-scheduled day. And out the window, who cares? It's such a stressful, crazy time. We'll regain our normalcy, hopefully. I don't know what that normalcy is going to look like, but hopefully we will regain it eventually. And I think that we just got to give everybody a little space and grace. And throw it out the window sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah. Let's talk about, I think, a fun topic for us both, because I know you're a pretty spiritual person. And I think it'd be great in the next 5 minutes or so to get your thoughts on this. What do you really think this moment's about? Big picture, big level.
For sure. Big level is a human awakening.
Yeah.
I think we're all, like I said, in the social distancing, I've personally found a lot of connection, both within myself and within, friends and family. And my personal family, I'm this go, 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 go. I don't stop. And my wife said that she's like, your energy's been so calm. And I was freaked out in the beginning. And when I realized with you, what you said, your soul purpose truths, I came to a place of acceptance, and now I'm just sitting in this stillness. And, I think that, I think it's a time to tell people slow down, come together as a community, support each other. I think big companies, like you said, they're going to have to figure out a different way, because I bet you all these people that are working this way are not going to continue like that. And so I think it's a big awakening
moment. Yeah. And back even on the acceptance, I think what's really important to point out for some of our viewers and listeners, and I've seen this a lot, and I've actually seen it a lot in the spiritual communities, is if all your focus is on how we're being victimized, right? How this is happening to us, whether it's being pissed at the government, or it's even pissed, the conspiracy theory, or, maybe not so much with the China stuff, whatever it is. But when you're so focused on, this is something happening to me,
right,
and you're focused on figuring that out, and telling that story of that somehow we're being victimized, you're missing the whole lesson,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're blocking it all from coming in of what you're meant to receive. Don't you think?
I do. And I think that again comes back to that fear-based mentality, right? If you're continually in this victimizing fear-based, what you believe you will create. And so, wherever you put your energy, that's where it's going to go. And, if you have a, poverty type of mentality, because, you can figure things out with your bills. There's a lot of people doing having a lot of grace periods for different, for mortgages and payments. And so I think that you can really I believe, that you can work through this. I really do. And look towards how is this really going to make us better? I feel like I need more time with my family.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue. What do you think are some of the gifts that are being revealed, that we weren't spending enough time with one another or our family?
Yes.
Sounds like one that came up for you. What else?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I think, when my practice was the busiest it had been the week before the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so, I'm on the go. And my truth within me has always been the same. However, I think when you are just in such a go motion, you forget. And so this whole month, we're offering free care to the frontliners, all the nurses, doctors come in for free. You know what? I don't care if we're not bringing in as much money, but we've got to band together as a community. So I think supporting one another, banding together, spending more time with your loved ones, the stuff that really matters in life. Like, the stuff that really pay your bills, live under a roof, get some food, but like what really matters. And so that's, for me personally, what I think has been coming to light.
Great. Well, I think that's a perfect place for us to end with Dr. D. How can folks get in touch with you? And can you share your website and some other details?
Absolutely. So we are at www.midtownfamilywellness.com. And you can find us on the IG, Instagram, and the Facebook at Midtown Family Wellness. Definitely connect with us. Even if you don't live in Atlanta, you're not a patient, reach out. Like us, we have a ton of content that goes out all the time, and I'm here to answer any questions for anybody because I am living my true soul's purpose. So how could I not?
Well, thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for sharing these tips and all this wonderful stuff. And we're just so grateful for your time.
Well, we're grateful, and I'm grateful for you, Jessica. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. So everyone, we're about done, but before we wrap up, I do want to share we had a couple of letters with some questions for coaching. And so I'm going to see how many we can get through right now. We'll start with the first one here. And so the first one says, Dear Jessica, I'm realizing the life I've been living doesn't ultimately serve what I want to do. But I'm scared to make a change. What do you suggest? And this is from Maureen, I think that says, in Atlanta. So hi, Maureen. I hope that you're tuning in today and listening. Look, it was something that we addressed earlier on the show, what Dr. D was saying. And that is whenever it's about a calling, whenever it is something that you're really meant to do, there is always going to be a little bit of fear attached. What we really want, you actually know if you really want, if it also makes you like a little bit scared. That's like a really good sign. But the universe does not put a true desire, a true want, a true something within your heart that one, there's no path to. That one, when you leap, there isn't a net. That one that leads to like somehow failure and misery. That's not, you might have little failures on the way, but that's not the destination you're heading towards. So what I really recommend is take baby steps a little bit at a time to start, do what feels comfortable, and just stay in the path of resonance with your heart and see where that leads you. And so thank you. So let's get to one more. And this one says, Dear Jessica, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now that nothing is happening on any level. I feel like I'm waiting for news to come that never will. And that is from Melissa in Minnesota. So I'm feeling overwhelmed right now that nothing's happening. I feel like I'm waiting for good news that will never come. I think what I'm understanding from you is that there's not enough action going on and you're uncomfortable with the stillness. But what's happening right now is on purpose, we're being given the gift of stillness so that we can sit with ourselves and get to know ourselves better, like really be with just us without all the distractions of the outside. So what I would say to you is really like embrace that and take it a gift. It's okay. That's normal for this moment. Okay. And I think one gift that's going to come from this moment is we're going to see that the old ways of striving, trying as like badges of success, as like signs of success are actually going to go away because that's not about being in flow. And the flow to be in right now is to be still. So that good news, whatever it is that you're waiting on, it will come in divine timing. And when the time is perfect for you to receive it and do what you need with it in a way that is going to most serve you and those around you. Trust. If this moment says nothing more, it is to trust and believe that everything is happening for our highest good and everything is happening for us, not to us. So I want to thank everyone for being with me. I will see you next month. Have a beautiful week ahead. Bye-bye. This is Soul Purpose with Jessica Joins.
We hope this episode helped you take a step closer to find your soul purpose. We will be back in 3 weeks on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern on the uimediaapp.com, WDJY 99.1 FM, WTTA 101.2 FM, Talk10FM.com, and Facebook Live on United Intentions, Spreaker, and many other platforms. Jessica Joins is happy to hear from you, so make sure you watch and share her show, and also write to her on Facebook with your comments, suggestions, and questions. Wherever you are in life, it's never too late to uncover what makes you happy. Let us help you find your soul purpose. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their